I really hope you guys have fun working with this project. I certainly did. This is actually, I wanted to show a couple ways of creating hinges and joins and connecting pieces together. That was my original passion when I first started. So many people know years and years ago, I wrote the book Making Connections. This is all about cold join ways of connecting objects, and just anything that you'd like to get into your work that you consider jewelry. So there's a couple pages in here if you have the book. It's 59, which is drawing a bead for connection. And then I have a whole chapter, 97, on just different ways to swing hinge. I actually call this a swing hinge, and a trapeze. So there's a few different ways that you can use this, and it was really fun for me to dig back into my cold joins and put these ideas together again. So I think you're gonna be seeing more and more, but this was really fun to do. And I wanted to show you guys like my signature, a couple signature things that I do here with the gems. So if you guys, something new in here this month, look, I've been actually working on all these different ideas again with riveting and all of that. So if you guys are new in here, I try to keep the projects simple and new as I possibly can. So they'll be all different levels. Please don't feel like you have to get in there and accomplish everything. Take what you can do and leave the rest. And then someone might be able to glean a little more. These are always here for your resources. If you're in this membership, you can always go back later and look at the project again, and maybe you know something a little bit more. So something new this month too, I actually put down in the resource area the tool list for building with butane gas, and the free Alchemy of Soldering course that I have that really just shows you how to build bezels and get around all the tools and all of that. So if you're an artist and you're interested in working in on the projects, just please feel free to take a look at that and then start building in this way. This month is vitality, and the project is about vitality. I talk about it in all different ways. It's like, how can you be vital connecting? So it's really in connecting, it's bringing in the new, taking out the old, and that really is what vitality is all about. So I hope you guys enjoy this project. Have fun. Okay, this is my starting point. I made a couple bezels here, and I'm gonna show you a trapeze attachment or a swing join hinge in between these two sets. And if you guys don't know how to make these bezels right now, you can hop over to the Alchemy of Soldering, which is embedded inside Enfolding, and it's a free course on creating these bezels. All right, I'm gonna show you guys some hinging. And on these two pieces, I'm gonna hinge both these together. I have my camera up pretty close so you guys can see everything. I'm working small today. How exciting is that? Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually work with one at a time, just for this case. And I'm gonna work on the back sides. And when I work on the back sides, I'm gonna take my piece off of the screen, because when I'm on the screen, it actually could get heated up and do some damage to, to the front of my bezel wire and all of that. So I don't want that. The first thing I do is I'm gonna immerse everything in. I'll do both. Maybe I'll do both these. We'll see. Okay. I talk sometimes, and sometimes I don't talk. This is I always use, when I'm soldering to the back of a piece, I always use square wire. This is 18 gauge square. I have a little bit of lotion on my hand, so I hope it doesn't get in the way of getting this done right. It's like, oh my gosh, my hands get so crazy and hard when I'm working in my studio. Okay. I'm looking to get this into the center or more towards this way. So I'm getting these all flexed up. And what I'm gonna do is you're gonna see two pieces attached here, very close together. And then here, I'm gonna attach one. And like I said, this is in my book, Making Connections. So let me show you how I'm gonna get started with this. Okay, I do not need my flame up very high at all. Let's see, I need my solder facing down. So I'm gonna lay these one at a time because you can see I need them nice and straight, and I need to not lay this piece down until it gets hot enough. There we go, see that? Then it just pops into place. Okay, get the other one ready. Guess my cough is gone. Here we are in the winter out here, and it can be hard sometimes. There we go. Okay, I've got the other one ready. I'm gonna lay this side by side. I wanna make sure I don't undo what I've already done. You can see how close I am. I want these close together. There we go, hang on. Pretty close together. I wanna come straight up from the top. Okay, all right. We've got this side down. See that? Okay, I'm gonna need a little bit of cleanup. Let me just, I always go ahead and put mine right into the pickle because it cools it off and cleans it up a little bit. It's got a little bit out of joint here, but I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. You guys actually saw these pieces here laying here, so I'm gonna actually get a piece like this attached to the top because that's what I'm needing to do. I hope you guys can see this. Yeah, I think you can. So I'm gonna get this attached to the top as close as I can. That's what I reserved that spot for. So let me go ahead and get this some flex on here and some medium solder. What this will work out and do is solder the whole piece together from the back. And then also I will, I'll be able to solder the piece together and get some medium on the back side. So all will work out well. Again, I want to keep my flame fairly small. I don't want to get too big here. I love this pick soldering. If I don't need the screen, I just work off of the screen like I mentioned again. I don't want the scallops on the other side getting dirty. And I might also put a little bit of solder just on these two right here. Actually, here's a place where I could use the screen. I think I'm gonna get my screen out actually. Put this back on there once I get these two flowing. Okay. Bring my screen on right here. You guys can still see this beautifully. Get this piece ready. So again, I want to get my bezel really nice and hot. So I can lay this down. There we go. So really what I'm working with is my bezel and the two pieces of square wire to get this nice and hot. I'll be able to see it flow down on this end. And just stay under on your screen. I can see my fine silver starting to flow. There we go. Okay. Okay, guys, looking good, right? Okay. So far, so good. The next step that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna attach this. I decided this next piece is gonna hang this way, so it'll kind of be a little bit different. I'm gonna put this in the pickle, quench it and get it in the pickle. Okay. I'm gonna get out a little bit more medium. I'm just working with one at a time. When you're doing earrings, you guys know it's always double the trouble, right? But it is what it is. Oh, it's about time to get my desk cleaned up too. So I cleaned off a nice space for you guys. Okay, again, same thing. Let me make sure that I have this sprayed square wire. This is so it doesn't run all over the place. And this one is definitely gonna be in the middle section. I need my hinge at both sides. There we go. Okay. So we're gonna do this down here. Get a little bit of spray on here. Get my locking tweezers that I love so much and get this wire flipped around. Kind of quench it so I don't burn myself. Yeah, this is really when I love working with the square wire. Makes things easy. Make sure you have clearance. It's like I've got some nice clearance here. So once I see this, up, I want this right down the middle. There we go. Now let me let go of it because I didn't have 100% clearance with from the bottom. There we go. Looks good. Okay. Nice and easy, right? When you have flow, okay? Now here's this piece here. I'm gonna also work with a piece from the bottom too. So I'll bring that one in a little bit. Okay, next step. There's one more thing I wanna do. I've got the other piece in the pickle. This is actually going to be the smallest piece that sits down below, and I really want this on a long stand. So I've got another 18 square. I'm just using 18 square, nice and simple. You can see with hollow forms, you have to put a little hole in there. This one, I'm having a little bit of trouble letting it sit flat. So I am going to pull out, I'm loving this. It's called Hold It. Such a beautiful material. You can just use your clay over and over again. It's nice and moist. And when it gets dried up, you just put a little water in there, put it back into the mix. And, so if you're having trouble with things standing up straight, there's a couple things you could do. One is, use these little steel buildups. And two, you could literally just get your piece right onto here. It doesn't interfere with the soldering at all. It just dries your clay out. You just don't want to get the clay onto your piece you're going to solder. And let me get a lot of my flux on here. And this is fluxed up, so let me get a little bit of medium. I'm just gonna put it right on the tip. Okay, here we go. Oh, you guys could totally see this. Always just trying to make sure. Okay, I'm just gonna put this right on the tip. Okay, there we go. It's gonna spread as far as I need it to. Again, my locking pliers, I always just quench it so I can adjust it with my hands. I'm actually getting in and adjusting it so it can be in a proper position when I lay it down. Okay, love these little spinning units, right guys? Okay, wearing all my bracelets. Okay, so just come in from the very top. I'm gonna actually patch up this hole a little bit right here. See, this is what the Hold It looks like. It just doesn't have a lot of moisture in it. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of moisture in it and throw it back in. And in the meantime, it did its function for what I needed it to do to attach here. So I'll be able to put together the design for you now. Okay, the trapeze, let me get my snips. See these two pieces across the top? I don't need those. I just had them up there for a little bit extra. So here's what the back looks like. And I'm just gonna snip these two pieces off here now that everything is secure. I can use these for granulation later. And I'm gonna go in and just file this up a little bit right here. Hang on one second. There we go. This is gonna be so pretty. I always love that 3 sides to it. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually just gonna create just a little bit of a shank, a loop. You know, I need to create a loop so I can roll these backwards and hit it with a little bit of solder. So I need what, like 3/4 of an inch. I don't want such a large loop. So I'm gonna snip it off right here. These are double flush, but you could see the edges aren't so flush. So there we go. I just need that little bit here. I'm gonna hit this with the file to make sure that my ends are nice and strong. I know you guys, my file isn't actually in an area that you guys can see it. Normally I file right on my bench pin, and I'm not gonna move my camera. So I'll just hit the edges of this to make it nice and flat and straight. So I can decide to roll these forward or roll them back. But one thing for sure, I'm gonna want my really tiny needle nose pliers to be able to do this task at hand. Okay, now I am going to attach these two pieces together, and you're gonna see me do that with a 20 gauge wire. So what I wanted to say about this, you know, I have a whole philosophy, especially in making connections, about the strength of sterling silver versus fine silver. Fine silver is so pretty when you draw a bead and make a ball on the end. Your balls are so beautiful. The problem is that fine silver is not as strong as sterling silver. So if I'm really using a piece in attachment, I really want to make sure that I'm using a sterling silver, especially when I'm getting to 20 gauge. So when I'm drawing a bead, I want to get this, you're going to hear this noise, I want to get this as hot as I possibly can get this work going. And then what I'm going to do is just get in and draw myself a beautiful little bead. I don't need a lot, but you can see how quick that is. I don't need a lot because I don't have big holes over here. And then I'm just going to cinch all three of these pieces together in that way. Yep, maybe I did need a little bit bigger than I thought. Let me see if I come in from the other way. It's going to work, but it's a little tiny one, and I don't know how tiny it's going to be. I'll see how tiny that is. I'm going to make it a little bit more effective. How about that? Make a very effective one. I've got some room in here. Okay, get it nice and hot. Get a little bit of a ball rolling. Sometimes it wants to come off at this point. I'm going to see if I can get it nice. There we go. See that? That should be big enough. I don't want it too big, but it's going to work out well for both sides then. So let me grab that out. Get out of this flex. All right, there we go. Okay, so I've got probably like would you say like a little 1.5 inches here. I'm going to go into both sides, get it attached properly. You guys can see this beautiful swing that it will have. Swings are always good. I think I'm going to make it a tiny bit smaller. I don't need that much, although 20 gauge really rolls up pretty small pretty quickly. Okay, now I want the cleanest space that I possibly can. So I'm going to come right in between these two spaces right here. So I'm going to hold on with some good pliers. I don't want to come right at you guys, but I really, you know, drawing a bead, there is absolutely a science to drawing a bead up next to your piece. And, you know, really what you want to do is you want to make sure there's a clean line right through. I don't want to touch any other part of my jewelry or I'll be in big trouble. Let's see if I can get this lit with my opposite. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I'll have to pick that back up again. Make sure, you know, it's nice and clean, that I'm going to have no problems, that everything is away from where I'm drawing a bead from. See? Okay, I'm not going to go right at you, but I'm going to come in right through the middle, nice and clean. Look at how that's rolling up, rolling up, rolling up, rolling up. Get it up there, boom, done. My piece is nice and safe. You want to quench it as soon as you can. because you don't want it to do any damage with any of the soldering that you have going on. Voila. Okay, so my next piece, I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is get this one attached. I'm gonna go ahead and I think with this piece, I'm gonna draw a bead on the end of here. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of space now. Everything is all fluxed up, but I'll show you, you know, there's another one on here where I'm showing you hollow forms. There's also a hollow form you can get. I am attaching a hollow form here, but you can get hollow forms in some of my courses if you like. There we go. So I've drawn a bead here. This is all about the art and science of drawing a bead, right? Gorgeous. Okay, this one too. I am not gonna draw a bead, but I don't think I need this as long as I think I do. I'm gonna actually hammer this out thin, and I'm gonna thread this through it. So, I've got my anvil over here. Oh my gosh, my studio is a big mess. There you go. You guys get to see a little, there we go. You guys get to see kind of the tail end of my anvil. Okay, I'm just bringing this over. I'm gonna actually just hammer this little ball nice and flat right here. I kind of want a nice little flat piece because I'm gonna drill a hole through this, and I do have an 18 gauge coming through here, and I'm gonna draw a bead here. So let me show you guys what this is gonna look like. Get my hole drilled, and I will be back. Okay, I drilled this with the 1/16 bit, or it's called 52 at the jeweler's. And I have this about 1.5 inches. I needed a nice big hole because I'm gonna push this square wire through. And now I'm gonna draw a little bead right there. And, you know, again, if this were a nice, I wanna make sure my end is fluxed and hold on to it right like this. And I just need a little one now. I don't need a lot. I wanna keep that length on there. There we go. The reason I don't need a lot is that, you know, if you think about it, you've got it going on here. Although I could actually, oh, you know what I want to show you guys? I could actually put a really interesting join right here. Let me show you that. I'm going to actually do, I'm going to actually solder a little piece onto here. So just to show you guys something different and fun. First of all, I'm going to do a staple. I'm sorry, not a staple. A nice flat nail head, as I call that. Nice flat nail head. Let me get that going, and then I'll show you why. This will top off our workshop today. It'll be really fun. I'll set it and show you how it goes. So here's our nail head. Gonna get it nice and warm and rolling. The board is so cold right here that my wire's like, no thanks. I didn't warm up the board yet. There we go. Nail head. You know why I love nail heads? I can solder anything on here that I want to. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I definitely do not need this very hot, so I needed to turn my flame down. Get a little ball on here. When you're working with the tiny little details, you know what I mean? You're like, you get this put up onto here. Oops, here it is. My pieces are getting a little sticky from all the flux. Tiny little detail. There's kind of a lot of solder on there, but solder. The top piece actually needs more heat than the bottom. There we go. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to show you, here's where I made a nail head. Oh my gosh, the nail heads just get better and better. So the piece will be almost done. Here's the piece I just soldered together. This actually is gonna need a little bit more heat. I like the way the position it's sitting. I just need to get some, I don't need a lot of heat. So I have to be careful not to get too much. And again, I'm just gonna use this medium solder right here. I don't want my solder to run down off of this nail head because I could actually be doing an easy on here. You know what? An easy would be ideal. Let me get an easy out because you know what? We don't want to ruin the piece at the last minute, right? I'm gonna get some easy solder out, put it in this area. I should quarantine off my board where it's like easy is over here, hard is over there. Okay. Now, pick. See, it's always just using the right solder. Now, I just need the tiniest piece. Again, I don't want to overdo it because I just, you know, when you start getting bigger pieces, you, it ends up taking longer to solder down. So you might as well have used a hard or a, you know, medium if you're gonna do the bigger pieces. Now, I'm gonna sit here. Here's my piece. I'm gonna get this hot and then lay this piece down on it because my flower, again, doesn't need a lot of heat. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful, guys. How about that? Is that beautiful or what? Let me quench it. I'll show it to you guys, and once I clean it up. Voila, this is it in the raw state. So it has a lot of swing. It has a lot of movement this way, has movement that way. So I will just show you guys the picture when it's done. Enjoy.